The courtroom was already standing when the judge raised the sentencing papers. No noise, no movement, just the slow hum of air conditioning and the sound of a life ending. Marcus Hale didn't cry, didn't argue, didn't even look at his lawyer. He simply nodded, like a man agreeing to something he already knew. "Mr. Hale," the judge said, voice heavy, "this court finds you guilty of aggravated arson resulting in loss of life." Gasps rippled across the gallery. A warehouse fire. And 2 years earlier, 3 workers trapped inside. 1 died. Insurance fraud, the prosecutor said. A greedy owner, burning debt. The jury believed it. 30 years, the judge finished. The gavel lifted. Marcus finally raised his eyes. Not angry, not afraid, just tired. "As expected," he whispered. The gavel slammed, and everything should have ended there. Except the courtroom doors opened, slowly. Nobody noticed at first, because sentencing was already happening. But Marcus did. His eyes shifted past the judge, past the prosecutor, toward the back of the room. A woman stood there, late 40s, simple coat, hair streaked with gray, breathing hard like she had been running. And in her shaking hand was a single photograph. If stories where truth refuses to stay bride pull you in, subscribe now to the Unheard Witness. Because sometimes justice doesn't arrive early, it walks in late. The bailiff turned, annoyed. "Ma'am, a court is in session." She didn't respond. She just stared at Marcus, and Marcus froze. For the first time in months, fear crossed his face. Not panic, recognition. The judge frowned. "Remove her." The woman finally spoke. "I need 30 seconds." Her voice cracked. The prosecutor scoffed. "Your Honor, sentencing has concluded." Marcus lowered his head again, like he already knew what was coming. But the stranger lifted the photo. I think you sentenced the wrong man." Silence slammed into the room. Microseconds stretched. The judge hesitated. Just long enough. "What is this regarding?" he asked carefully. The woman stepped forward. "My name is Evelyn Carter." Nobody reacted. No one knew her. "That photograph," she said, voice trembling, "was taken the night of the fire." The prosecutor stood. "This is highly inappropriate." But Marcus suddenly spoke, softly. "No." Every head turned. His lawyer blinked, as Marcus hadn't spoken once during trial. Not once. "Let her talk," he said. The judge studied him. Something about that calmness bothered him. "Approach," the judge ordered. The woman walked forward slowly, each step echoing. Her hands shook as she handed the photograph to the bailiff. It passed to the judge. He looked down, and his expression changed, just slightly. Confusion. "This appears to be a parking lot," he said. "It is," she replied. "Here behind Hale Logistics Warehouse." The courtroom stirred. "That photo was taken at 11:42 p.m., she added. "The fire started at midnight." The prosecutor crossed his arms. "And?" She swallowed. "Marcus Hale is in that photo." Everyone turned toward Marcus. He didn't react. The judge leaned closer. "You're suggesting an alibi?" "I'm stating a fact." The prosecutor laughed. "Your Honor, the defendant admitted being near the warehouse earlier that evening." But Evelyn shook her head. "Oh, no," she pointed. "He's not alone." The judge adjusted the photo, zoomed closer, brows knitted. "Who is that beside him?" Nobody answered. Marcus finally looked up again and whispered, "Oh, God." The judge ordered the courtroom monitor turned on. The image appeared across the screen. Gasps spread instantly. Marcus stood beside another man, tall, broad shoulders, face partially turned. Hard to see clearly, but unmistakably close. "Who took this?" the judge demanded. I did," Evelyn said. "I work nights at the apartment complex across the street." The prosecutor stepped forward sharply. "This is irrelevant." But the judge ignored him. "Why bring it now?" Her eyes watered. "Because yesterday, someone tried to kill me." The room exploded with whispers. "What?" the judge asked. She steadied herself. "My car brakes were cut." Marcus's lawyer sat upright. The prosecutor's jaw tightened. "And you believe that connects to this case?" She nodded. I didn't understand the photo until last week." "Understand what?" Her voice dropped. "The man beside Marcus." She pointed toward the courtroom, front row. A man in an expensive grey suit sat perfectly still, watching. The prosecutor. Gasps erupted. "No," someone whispered. The prosecutor laughed nervously. "This is absurd." But Marcus's breathing changed. Heavy now, because memories were crashing back. That night, the meeting, the deal he refused. The prosecutor's smile faltered. "Your Honor," the judge raised a hand. "Sit down." Silence. The photo zoomed further. Security enhancement software sharpened shadows. And suddenly, a reflection appeared in a parked car window. The second man's face. Clear. Unmistakable. The prosecutor. Chaos erupted. "This is fabricated," he shouted. Marcus stood slowly, chains rattling. "You asked me to burn it," Marcus said quietly. The courtroom froze. 2 years earlier. And a failing warehouse, insurance disputes, a government redevelopment contract. Marcus had refused. He wouldn't torch his own property. But days later, fire, death, evidence planted, gasoline containers traced to his company. Everything perfect. Too perfect. "I thought protecting someone mattered," Marcus said. His voice broke. The judge leaned forward. "Protecting who?" Marcus hesitated, then looked at Evelyn. "You." Her breath caught. 2 years ago, she had testified briefly. She claimed she saw Marcus arguing with someone. She never saw the other man's face. Marcus never corrected her. Because threats came later. Anonymous messages, photos of her children walking home. "If I spoke," Marcus whispered, "they said she'd disappear." The courtroom turned toward the prosecutor again. He stood abruptly. "This is a circus." But the judge wasn't listening anymore. "Bailiff," he said quietly. The doors opened again. State investigators entered, unannounced, unexpected. The prosecutor's confidence cracked. Twist. They approached him. "Sir," one said calmly, "we need to ask you questions." He laughed. "You can't arrest a prosecutor during sentencing." The investigator slid a tablet onto the judge's bench. Email records, transfers, insurance payouts, secret shell companies, all tied to redevelopment investors, and the warehouse land, worth millions after the fire. Marcus stared, shock replacing resignation. You framed me," he whispered. The prosecutor snapped. "I gave you an opportunity." Gasps. Silence followed immediately, because he realized what he had just said. Micro cliffhanger. Handcuffs clicked. The judge leaned back slowly. 30 years, almost finalized, destroyed by one photograph. But the twist wasn't over. Evelyn spoke again. "There's more." Everyone turned. Her hands trembled worse now. "The man who died in the fire." Marcus shut his eyes. Yeah, he still carried that guilt, even innocent. Someone died. "He wasn't supposed to be inside," she said. What do you mean? The judge asked. She swallowed hard. He called emergency services before flames spread. The room froze. He said someone locked the exit doors. Marcus staggered backward. What? Investigators exchanged looks. A new horror unfolding. The prosecutor stared at her. Hatred replacing fear. You don't know what you're talking about. But she reached into her coat. Another object, a small recorder. My brother was the dispatcher. She pressed play. Static. Then a man's terrified voice. Smoke alarms blaring behind him. They locked us in. Coughing. I saw him. The city lawyer. Please. The audio cut. Silence crushed the room. Because everyone understood. This wasn't fraud anymore. It was murder. The judge stood. Voice shaking. This court vacates sentencing immediately. Marcus's knees nearly gave out. Chains removed. Freedom returning inch by inch. But Marcus didn't smile. He looked at Evelyn. Why risk this now? Tears slid down her face. Because I finally understood something. What? She gestured around the courtroom. They weren't afraid of the truth. They were afraid of witnesses who stopped being silent. Investigators led the former prosecutor away. E-camera flashes erupted through courtroom windows. News already spreading. Marcus sat slowly, hands free, breathing like someone learning oxygen again. His lawyer whispered, "You're going home." But Marcus shook his head. No. He stared toward the doors. Because someone else stood there now, watching. Another stranger, younger, nervous, holding a folder. The judge noticed too. Yes? The young man stepped forward. I think I know who locked the exits. The courtroom collectively held its breath, because justice had only just begun. Inside the folder, maintenance logs, security override codes, signed approvals, not by Marcus, not by the prosecutor, but by a redevelopment executive already under federal investigation. The real architect, the fire, the death, the frame job, all pieces connected. Marcus exhaled slowly. 2 years stolen, family gone, reputation buried. And yet somehow, truth refused to stay buried longer. The judge removed his glasses, voice heavy. Mr. Hale, Marcus looked up. You are free. No applause, just quiet disbelief. Because freedom sounded strangely soft after being taken away. Evelyn approached him. I'm sorry, she whispered. He shook his head. You saved me. Outside. Rain had started. Reporters shouted questions. Flashes burst. Marcus paused on courthouse steps. Air cold, real, alive. He almost walked forward. Almost disappeared. But he turned back once, toward the courtroom doors, because he understood something now. Justice wasn't loud. It didn't rush. Sometimes it arrived late, out of breath, holding one photograph, and refusing to let silence win again.